Good evening. I am John from the Isle of Patmos, a prison island out in the Mediterranean Sea. I've come back to tell you about the last book of the Bible. How many have heard of Revelation? Impressive number. I'd like to tell you I happened to write the last book of the Bible. It is a very exciting book, and unfortunately in your day and time it's been so abused. And then to show you how you can use my book in doing an Easter communion, which will be quite a surprise to those who come to church on Easter. I was one of the 12 disciples, you know. How many realize I was one of the 12 disciples and a favorite of Jesus? On the cross, Jesus asked me to take care of his mother, and we journeyed over to Ephesus, one of the largest cities of the ancient world, with 500,000 people. There I became the spiritual father of the churches in that area, and 7 of them are named in my book. I served there for 30 or 40 years, and toward the end of my leadership of the churches, new Caesar came into power by the name of Domitian, and he believed that he was divine. All over the Roman Empire, huge statues of Caesar were erected. And I watched as they built one in Ephesus 16 feet tall. It was even built on a pedestal so that the Roman priests could go inside the pedestal and whisper through slits, and they thought that Caesar was speaking to them. 3 times a day we were required to go and worship Caesar's statue and bow down and say, "Caesar is Lord, Caesar is Lord." And if you worship Caesar, you've got to imprint a Caesar's face on the back of your hand or on your forehead. And when you reached your hand out to pay for food in the marketplace, they would first look to see if you had worshipped Caesar before you could buy food in the marketplace. I called upon the Christians to resist because the earliest great confession of the church had been Jesus Christ is Lord. And many Christians did resist. And many were imprisoned. Others were sent before wild animals, and finally they came for me, an old man, and I was nearly 90 at the time. They sent me to this horrible prison island called Patmos. How many of you have ever been in jail? Most of the New Testament was written from prison, in prison cells. And the last book of the Bible was written in a prison cell. The Romans loved to use islands for prisons, much as you Western people do with Alcatraz and other places. Caesar even sent one of his wives to such a prison on one occasion. He had several wives, and he could afford to lose 1 or 2. And so I was sent to a Roman prison where we were forced to quarry rock in the hot sunshine of the day, and it can reach 110 degrees where you folks measure heat or otherwise. And in Patmos in the summer, it can be very cold in the wintertime. In fact, it's barren and cold and no water supply on the whole island. And they would bring in water on the ships. Imagine an old man there quarrying rock in the hot sunshine. In the cool of the evening, they would lead us up and lock us in a cave for the night. I still remember it. And I'd stand at the mouth of the cave in the evenings looking out at the blue Aegean Sea. At times it appeared to be a sea of glass. One night, as I was standing in the mouth of the cave, I heard a voice behind me saying, "John, John, write down the things that I'm going to reveal to you." Over a period of some 6 months, I recorded the visions that are in the last book of the Bible. And because I was in a Roman prison for preaching Christ, I couldn't openly send this through the mail back to the churches. So the Spirit led me to use the coded language of the Jewish people. For some 200 years before the birth of Christ, the Jewish nation had run into being a spatial, symbolical language, or coded language, I would call it. And some 50 books were written in this coded language. And I used this language in the book of Revelation, which makes it a different kind of book. You can't read Revelation like you do Romans or Mark. It's a different kind of literature completely. The very first word in the book of Revelation, I give a warning by using the word decode, apocalypsis, which means uncover, reveal, or decode. And also use the word symbolize in the very first word. It's a book of symbols and colors and numbers, and you have to have spatial kind of insights to understand its language. I'd like to share with you here this evening the coded language of my book. So many people take the symbolic language in quite a literal way. First of all, I love to use numbers. Jewish people put a lot of emphasis on numbers. 7 is a very important number. It's the divine number. Days of persecution, Hebrews could speak as 777 as another way of talking about God. I love 7s. I divide my whole book into a series of 7s. In contrast, the enemy is always pinpointed by 6. 3 6s, or a triple imperfection, represented the enemy in times of persecution of the Jews. In my book, it represents that evil Caesar Domitian who put so many Christians to death. Even one young man was boiled alive with hot oil in the city square of Pergamum, the capital city. And so 6 is the enemy. 5 is the number for penalty. Some of the major judgments in my book come in series of 5s. When the locusts come out of the pit, they torture people for 5 months. And 4 is the number of the world. 2 is the number for witnessing in Hebrew courtrooms. And 1 was the number for unity. Any fraction is incomplete. I love to use the number 1/3 as an incomplete number. And in contrast, 10 is a complete number. That's why we Jews had 10 commandments and not 9. And then, of course, 12 is the whole number, W-H-O-L-E, representing people especially. 12 tribes of Israel, 12 disciples. And, of course, large numbers like 144,000 in chapter 7, based upon 12 times 12, or 1,000 is based on 10, the complete reign of Christ at the end of the age. Every number has a symbolical meaning. In addition to the numbers, you have the colors, and I love to use colors, as do the apocalyptic writers. Pale green is death. And the 4th horse in my vision, pale green in color. You English people have never translated it correctly. You always translate chloros, which is green, chlorophyll, as pale. I've never understood that. But finally, the New Revised Standard Version has done it completely right with pale green, the color of death. The color of a body that's been on the battlefield for 3 or 4 days, yellow green. I hate to say that right after dinner. And then dark green, emerald green is life. Behind the throne of God, I saw a dark green rainbow. The red is war, and black is famine. Gold is worth their value, and white can be purity or conquering, and bronze is strength. In chapter 1 of my book, I paint a whole picture of the Son of Man in color, because I couldn't openly call him by name. Bronze bead his strength, white rose of purity, and the gold band around his chest, worth of value, white hair of conquering, a sharp two-edged sword in his mouth, his piercing words. Now, you should try preaching in colors sometime. You Americans have never expressed yourself in colors, and you're in Canada as well. And so, I seldom get to Canada in my travels. And so I would like to say to you that by using colors, you can express yourself. That's a wonderful thing about apocalyptic literature. Sing out in colors. You should try it sometime. Next to the colors, we love to use animals. There's an animal apocalyptic code. The meanest, vilest animal in my book is the frog. Watch out for the frog. In chapter 16, verse 13, 3 frogs appear before the last struggle between good and evil. Going back to ancient Persia, the frog symbolized evil or Satan. Even in Indian totem poles, you'll often see a frog. And then in the Western world, in the nursery rhymes, you often talk about the wicked witch turning the handsome prince into what? A frog. Watch out for the frog. And you have to be very careful about this evil creature. And then next to the frog is the eagle. The eagle always brings bad news. And you missed it in English because of the mistranslation. The eagle flies out 9 times in my book, bringing bad news, and its cry is, "Ah!" If you say it quickly in Greek, you get an eagle screech. We Greeks love to do that. Try saying it 3 times. Northern eagles, but rather good. The people in the United States who known that, they would have gone along with Benjamin Franklin, who wanted to make the turkey the American bird. Eagle always brings bad news. And you know the English translators translate it, woe, woe, woe. Who's ever heard an eagle flying across the heavens saying, woe, woe, woe? Or even worse, the good news has, alas, alas, alas. It's, the eagle screech. And anytime you hear it in my book, you know that bad news is coming along. And then there are those monster beasts that may have scared you as a child when you tried to read the Bible straight through, and you even made it through Leviticus. When you got to Revelation, you were lost. The monster beasts may have frightened you as a child. Remember, monster beasts represent monster people. It's just like picking up the Sunday newspaper, looking at the editorial page, and current political figures are depicted as animals. As in the United States, the quail bird, representing the vice president. Thus, I use the same device in Revelation. When I want to talk about Satan, I use a monster beast. There was no animal to represent such an evil figure. And evil figures in my book always come up out of the sea. Jewish people feared the ocean, going all the way back to the Genesis story where God looked down with a swirling mass of black water, the tohu, ohu, it sounds sinister. As you go through the Old Testament, there's Leviathan and Behemoth if you go too far to see. And when the Jews came into the Promised Land, they settled up in the mountains, not down by the sea where the Philistines were. Every major Jewish city is located in the mountains. And even to this day, the Jews have a great army, but not much of a navy to speak about. And when I saw the vision of the New Jerusalem coming out of heaven, you know what I said the first time? There was no more sea. And all the Jews would have said, hallelujah, no more sea. So Satan comes up out of the ocean in chapter 12. He has 7 heads, which is the divine number because he thinks he is divine. All your codes sort of come together here. 10 horns, complete power. And he's red, the color of war. Isn't that a wonderful way to symbolize Satan? Chapter 13, I symbolize Caesar. I took the 3 superpowers of our day and time, Media, symbolized by a bear, Persia, symbolized by a leopard, and Rome, the lion's head, and there have been 7 Caesars from the time of Christ. So the beast in chapter 13 has 7 heads. So you see how numbers and colors and animals come together so well. I was in prison for preaching Christ, so I use an animal to represent Christ. A lamb with 7 horns and 7 eyes, divine power, divine seed. And a lamb that had been wounded, and all the Christians would have known whom I was speaking. And so, if you go through the book of Revelation and read it aloud, underline all your numbers in red, all your colors in blue, and every animal that you come to in green, the coded language jumps off the page at you, the symbolism. And you can begin to see that this is a different kind of book and a different kind of literature, and begin to hear its message that so many people miss by interpreting it quite literally and making my book into a book of gloom or doom. When you come to the book of Revelation, the last book in the Bible, there's 7 Beatitudes. How many have ever heard of the Beatitudes in Revelation? I bet you've always heard of the ones in Matthew. I have 7. The first one is in chapter 1, verse 3. Blessed is the one who reads this book aloud. Go home tonight and read some of my book aloud, and if you have a recording of Messiah, put that on at full blast. Worthy is the Lamb, and you're reading Revelation aloud, and you'll be jumping up and down for joy. It's that kind of book. The thing that's killed Revelation studies is that you kept it on the cold printed page. There's no way to read this biblical book. Read it aloud. When you come to Revelation, you have to use all of your senses. You've got to see the visions that I saw in the back of your mind. You have to open your ears and hear 30 hymns that are recorded in my book. Did you know Handel took much of Messiah from the hymns that I heard in heaven? I'm the one that recorded those the first time. You've got to smell. There's incense all over the book of Revelation. You've got to see and hear. Reach out and touch. Notice how often the angels reach out and touch me as I'm recording and writing down the story itself. If you see it and hear it and feel it, you get a whole new impression of this book of Revelation. It was never meant to scare anyone, but to bring joy and to say the message that God is in control of this world. And on the last page of human history, the Lamb is standing there, not Caesar or any other king. He's got the whole world in his hands. And what courage and hope it gave to the Christians who are being persecuted to say to them, persevere through your difficulty because you're on the winning team, not Caesar's team. Just imagine having to go through all of those difficulties and to understand this perceived kind of crisis in the Roman world. It would bring you hope. Please, oh please, don't be frightened by my love. In fact, I would like for you to take a pledge this evening. Would you raise your right hand with me? Please repeat after me. I pledge that I will never view Revelation as a book of gloom or doom, but of joy and hope, and will correct anyone who says otherwise in the middle of a worship service, out on the sidewalk, where without end, amen. Now, Dr. McRae, if you'll note all the people who raised their hands, I want to hear your list. My book is a book of joy and of hope and of radiant hope for the future. My book is in dramatic form. I lived in Ephesus, where the largest Greek theater was built in the ancient world. There were 350 that the Greeks built. In Ephesus, a city of 500,000 people. There's a beautiful amphitheater on the side of the mountain holding 25,000 people. And you can stand on the bottom stage and whisper and be heard on the very back seat without any microphones. You Western people think you are so brilliant. 2,000 years ago, we possessed knowledge that some of you still do not possess today. The city fathers of Nashville, Tennessee, sent their best architects to Athens to measure the Parthenon. They came back and rebuilt it in Nashville, but they couldn't duplicate it. The architects 400 years before Christ knew how to put a curve in the column. So when you stand away from the Parthenon in Athens, the columns look perfectly straight, optical illusion. You go to Nashville and stand at a distance, and all the columns are crooked. You're not so wise after all. If you go to our part of the world, you can still ride on the Roman highways that were there in my day and time. I dare say if Canada lasts 1,000 more years, you will not be riding on 101. So please, when you come to the New Testament world, remember how far advanced we were. We lived in villas with running water and flushing toilets in Ephesus. And that was 2,000 years ago. In this grand amphitheater was a stage building that was the most unique one in the world. All the Greek theaters had three parts: an orchestra level surrounded by a moat of water to represent rivers, a ledge about 8 feet above the orchestra for one actor to walk on. We only used one actor in those days. And behind the ledge would be open windows about the size of this opening here. Most theaters had 3 or 5, so all the dramas had to be done in a series of 3 or 5 acts. One at Ephesus is the most unique one ever built. It had 7 such openings. All the dramas that came to Ephesus had to be reinterpreted in terms of 7s. As I received this vision from the Lord, I interpreted it over against the Grand Theater at Ephesus. If you notice on your outline, there are 7 acts and 7 scenes in each act. And you can take my whole drama and put it on the stage at Ephesus. Dr. Blevins, who has been teaching with you this week, has a dream of going to Ephesus, staging the whole drama of Revelation and filming it for use in churches when they study the book, so that you can see it and hear it and feel the music. And the old stage has actually been rebuilt in Ephesus today. All the Greek dramas were presented there, and they were religious dramas. The actors were called priests. At the beginning of the drama, a choir of 12 or 24 would come and stand around the throne of God on the lower stage. In my book, Revelation, the 24 elders serve as the choir. They sing the 30 hymns in the book. They led me around heaven and gave me instructions of what to see and what to write down. And I, John, the one actor on the main stage, then the beautiful painted panels would come down in these windows to represent the scenery that was too hard to depict on the main stage. So Revelation is a 7-act drama with 7 scenes in each act. I would like to show you some of the visions so that you can see and also hear the music as we look at these. We want to turn on these pictures now so that you can see what I've been talking about. I want everyone to just for a moment close your eyes and imagine you're in the 24,000-seat arena on the hill overlooking old Ephesus, looking out at the Aegean Sea. Close your eyes. Then when you're open, you're going to look down at a stage with 7 windows in the stage building. Okay? Just imagine you're in Ephesus. First of all, we see the statue of Caesar Domitian, 16 feet tall. People were required to come and worship the statue in all the 7 cities, and great persecution broke out, and that's why I was sent to prison. It was actually on a pedestal where the priests would go into this pedestal and speak from it. And I mentioned that in chapter 13 of Revelation. The second beast caused the statue, the first beast, to speak and to perform all kinds of wonders. And it certainly happened in Ephesus every day. We had to say, Caesar is Lord. Here you see the beautiful amphitheater on the side of the hill in Ephesus, holding 24,000 people. You can see it a mile out to sea, the gleaming white marble seas. As you sailed into the harbor of Ephesus, a city of 500,000 people, the theater stood there at the juncture of the 2 major streets, and the theater building was down at the bottom of the ranks of seats. There have been 5 cities of Ephesus in history. The first 2 were across the mountain, but the river comes in from the interior, floods the city every spring, and so there was a lot of sickness there. And so in my day and time, a new Ephesus was built here on the side of the mountain. After the king had built the city and spent all the money, the people in the second city wouldn't move over into the new city. So he promptly stopped up all the storm sewers, flooded the city, and they had to move. That's the way you get people to move in your church. I was arrested and sent to this terrible, barren island called Patmos. You can see the rock quarries going down the hillside. And over to the right, the cave where I was locked in the evening and where I recorded these visions. I was in prison for about a year and a half. And when Domitian died in 96 AD on your calendar, I was released and went back to Ephesus. Here's the stage building at Ephesus, looking down from the 24,000-seat arena. The stage building, and you'll notice the 7 openings where they would put the painted panels. A choir of 24 would come in and stand in a circle in front of the columns on the lower stage around the throne of God, the 24 elders. And I give the stage directions in the Greek text of my book. See and behold in Greek are 2 words for changing the stage scenery. And in each act, I tell you exactly how to set up the stage. Here we look at Act 2, chapters 4 and 5. The choir comes in and sings 5 beautiful hymns. The first one is Holy, 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 sung by the 4 living creatures. Each hymn gets larger and louder. And then the Lamb comes out, takes the scroll, opens 7 seals, and as you open the 7 sealed visions, then the paintings come down in the windows. White horse, red horse, black horse, pale green horse, martyrs under the altar, the picture of world destruction, the 7 angels with the 7 trumpets. So at the end of the act, you're looking down this beautiful stage building on the side of the mountain, 7 beautiful paintings of the sealed visions. Wouldn't that be beautiful to see at Ephesus? Hopefully one day that will be done, with all the music from the choir at the same time. So there's 7 acts and 7 scenes, and each of the 7 acts go in the 7 windows of the stage building. The only stage ever built with the 7 windows. At Ephesus, on the lower level, they had thrones that the city officials sat in, and also the theater building was dedicated to 7 outstanding men of Ephesus, which might account for the 7 windows at the state of Ephesus. In Act 1, we want to look at is the Son of Man standing in the midst of 7 golden lampstands. We're going to stage that for you in just a moment. And you see the Son of Man, how I describe him using color codes. The gold band around his chest, worth of value, the bronze feet, his strength, the white robes of purity, the 7 stars representing the pastoral leaders of the churches in his right hand, the sharp 2-edged sword coming forth from his mouth. We would put the 7 branched lampstands in the 7 windows of the stage building. And then as we light these, then we would have the beautiful paintings of the 7 cities and the 7 churches. I was a very literary writer myself. People have called me at times when they didn't know how to use Greek because I made so many mistakes. But I even used the Greek language to hide my message as well, so don't hold that against me. As a very brilliant literary writer, I would have to say, being quite modest. But the 7-branched menorah from the Jewish temple. Now, the Jewish temple had been destroyed in AD 70 on your calendar. And I idealize it in the book of Revelation. Each of the 7 acts has a theme from the Jewish temple. Act 1, the 7-branched lampstand. Act 2, the altar of sacrifice, 14 feet tall. Act 3, the altar of incense. In Act 4, the Holy of Holies is open, and you can look in and see the Ark of the Covenant. Act 5, the Holy of Holies is closed and filled with smoke. In Act 6, the whole stage building becomes the temple. And in Act 7, the New Jerusalem coming out of heaven is the Holy of Holies. It's cubical in shape. And so the temple plays a very important role in my book. And in Act 1, the 7-branched lampstand of gold. Very beautiful. You go to a map of Turkey, which is Old Asia Minor, pinpoint the 7 cities and draw lines between them. A 7-branched lampstand will appear on the map. It's a very wonderful device, isn't it? In the ancient world, if you approved of what somebody said, you knocked on wood. Give me a round of knocking or knocking on your head. Thank you for being so brilliant and bringing that device in. Then, to make it even more exciting, each of the 7 letters in the 7 churches will have 7 points. So, as a reader would read the letter aloud, you would light the lampstand. The first lamp is always a lamp of greeting to the church, as we will see. The second lamp is something about the Son of Man, either his speed or the sharp 2-edged sword. And I always tie in the second lamp to the history of that city. So, when we come to Pergamum, I stress the sword in the Son of Man's mouth because the city was called the city of the sword. It had the right to vote the death penalty in its own Senate. The third lamp is always the lamp of strength. The fourth is weakness. The fifth is warning. The sixth is music. The choir on the lower stage sings, "He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches." And the 7th lamp is the reward. And some of the letters are reversed, 6 and 7. But all 7 you will find in the 7 letters. So it's set up to be staged, and as the lamps are lighted, then you will see paintings of the 7 cities come down to the 7 windows of the stage building. We want to reenact this for you as a communion meditation. You can get the 7 branched lampstands like you have here, put them across the front of the church. As pastor, read the letters as the lamps are lighted. Have all the music in service from Revelation, like "O Worship the King" and other hymns taken from Revelation, "Holy, Holy, Holy." At the end, you'll have 49 lamps burning, and then you can intersperse the sharing of the bread and the sharing of the wine. Take your communion meditations from 1 or 2 of the churches. And we're going to do that and show you how you can do that this Easter. People are accustomed to having the communion services from the Gospels of Paul. Amaze them after you preach your series on the marking sandwiches and do your communion from the book of Revelation. So we're going to ask the assistants now to come and we will run through this service for you. We have a prelude to the service, and the choir will sing "O Worship the King," which comes directly from the book of Revelation. And then we will go directly into the lighting of the 7 lampstands. And we will begin with the first lampstand representing the city of Ephesus and its church.
To the angel of the church in Ephesus write, the words of him who holds the 7 stars in his right hand, who walks among the 7 golden lampstands. I know your work, your toil, and your patient endurance. I know you are enduring patiently and bearing up for my name's sake, and you have not grown weary. But I have this against you, that you have abandoned the love you had at first. Repent and do the works you did at first. If not, I will come and remove your lampstand from its place. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who conquers, I will grant to eat of the tree of life, which is in the paradise of God.
We would then have a hymn, Holy, 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 then have the lighting of the second lampstand of Smyrna.
To the angel of the church in Smyrna write, the words of the first and last who died and came to life. I know your tribulation and your poverty, but you are rich, and the slander of those who say that they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. Silence, no weakness at Smyrna. Behold, the devil is about to throw you into prison, that you may be tested, and for 10 days you will have tribulation. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. I will give you the crown of life. He who conquers shall not be hurt by the second death.
Following the lighting of the second candle stand or lampstand, we will have the music Crown Him with Many Crowns, taken from the music in Revelation. And then we have the lighting of the third lampstand of Pergamum, the capital city.
To the angel of the church in Pergamum write, the words of him who has the sharp two-edged sword. I know where you dwell, where Satan's throne is. You hold fast my name, and you did not deny my faith, even in the days of Antipas, my witness, my faithful one, who was killed among you, where Satan dwells. But I have a few things against you. You have some there who hold the teaching of Balaam, who taught Balak to put a stumbling block before the sons of Israel, that they might eat food sacrificed to idols and practice immorality. So you also have some who hold the teaching of the Nicolaitans. Repent then. If not, I will come to you soon and war against them with the sword of my mouth. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To him who confesses, I will give some of the hidden manna, and I will give him a white stone with a new name written on the stone, which no one knows except him who receives it.
This morning we would have communion meditation entitled The Son of Man in the Midst of the Churches. And then we would have the lighting of the fourth lampstand of Tara.
To the angel of the church in Thyatira write, the words of the Son of God, who has eyes like a flame of fire, and whose feet are like burnished bronze. I know your words, your love and faith and service and patient endurance, and that your latter works exceed the first. But I have this against you, that you tolerate the woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophetess, and is teaching my servants to practice immorality, and to eat food sacrificed to idols. I gave her time to repent, but she refuses to repent of her immorality. Behold, I will throw her on a sickbed, and those who commit adultery with her I will throw into great tribulation, unless they repent of her doings, and I will strike her children dead. He who conquers and who keeps my works until the end, I will give him power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and I will give him the morning star. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches.
At this point, the choir would sing, O hail the power of Jesus' name, and the passing of the bread to the congregation, then the lighting of the fifth lampstand of Sardis.
To the angel of the church in Sardis write, the words of him who has the 7 spirits of God and the 7 stars. Silence, no strength in the church. I know your works. You have the name of being alive, and you are dead. I have not found your works perfect in the sight of my God. Remember then what you received and heard. Keep that and repent. If you will not awake, I will come like a thief, and you will not know at what hour I will come upon you. He who confesses shall be clothed thus in white garments, and I will not blot his name out of the book of life. I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches.
The choir will sing, Rejoice, the Lord is King, and then there will be the sharing of the cup. And another meditation, the Son of Man and the keys to death, and then the lighting of the 6th lampstand of Philadelphia.
To the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, the words of the Holy One, the true One, who has the key of David, who opens and no one shall shut, who shuts and no one opens. I know your works. I know that you have but little power, and yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. Silence! No weakness in the church. Hold fast what you have, so that no one may seize your crown. I will keep you from the hour of trial which is coming on the whole world. He who conquers, I will make him a pillar in the temple of my God. Never shall he go out of it. And I will write on him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches.
Choir will sing Man of Sorrows, and we have the lighting of the final lampstand of Laodicea.
To the angel of the church in Laodicea write, the words of the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of God's creation. Silence! No strength at Laodicea. know your works. You are neither cold nor hot. For you say, I am rich, I have prospered, and I need nothing. Those whom I love, I reprove and chasten. So be zealous and repent. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in to him and eat with him, and he with me. He who conquers, I will grant to him to sit with me on my throne. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches.
Invitation will be given at this point to him, out of my bondage, sorrow and night. The benediction will be delivered, and worthy is the Lamb will be the final music of substitute to round out the communion service. Thank you very much. You can see that would be very beautiful in different ways, presenting to me the 7 lampstands representing the 7 churches. At the end, the 49 lamps burning. You could find 7 lampstands like this. And the people rejoicing on the beauty of this book. In conclusion this evening, we want to look at Act 2, let you participate a little bit. Chapter 4:1 of my great book, I was caught up into heaven and saw the very throne room of God. 2 whole chapters devoted to the stage setting. A stage setting filled with 5 beautiful hymns. God on his throne, surrounded by the dark green rainbow of light, thunder and lightning coming forth. As I looked at the front, I really couldn't see a figure. It was like looking at a diamond with reds and yellows and greens. All I could see was a scroll with 7 seals on it. 4 living creatures guarded the throne. One with the face of a lion, all the wild creatures, an ox, domesticated creatures, flying bird, flying creatures, and man, intelligent life, reminding us of the Old Testament prophetic vision, representing God's whole world, singing praises to it. The 24 elders that serve as our choir, seated with their harps, and they will provide the music as well, representing God's covenant, the Old and New Testament, given to the people of the world. Very symbolic kind of throne scene. God on the throne, the Spirit represented by the 7 burning torches, and the sea of glass separating earth from heaven. The stage of Ephesus, there was a moat around the lower stage to separate the 24,000 seats from the stage, and we will fill that with water to represent the sea of glass in modern interpretation. As I looked at God's throne, I saw the scroll, and I was wondering who was going to open the scroll, and nobody was found worthy, and I began to cry at that point. And I love a lot of irony in my book. It wakes you up as you're reading along. And wondering who was going to open the scroll, a large angel came and said, "Behold, the Lion from Judah's tribe," and my eyes almost popped out when a lamb walked out. A bit of irony there. And the lamb has 7 horns, 7 eyes, representing Christ, and he's included in all the Christians who have known whom I was speaking. And as the lamb comes out to take the scroll to open its 7 seals, the 4 living creatures begin to sing, "Holy, holy, holy." And to get in the mood, I want you to be very quiet tonight. And we're going to sing "Holy, holy, holy," and use the Greek words for holy, which is Aios, Aios, Aios. Let's all say that one. Aios, Aios, Aios. Then you can go back to English. Sing it to the tune of "Holy, Holy, Holy." Aios, 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 Lord God Almighty, early in the morning our song shall rise to thee. Aios, 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 merciful and mighty, God in 3 persons, blessed Trinity. First hymn is to God, the Holy God. The second hymn, the 24 elders join in. The music gets louder and louder as they sing a hymn to God as the Creator God. And then the Lamb comes out, and the third hymn is to the Lamb, sevenfold praise of the Lamb. And then thousands of angels come from the side stage, and they join the music of praise to the Lamb. And finally, in the fifth hymn, in chapter 5, everybody in the universe, heaven, earth, and under the earth, starts singing to the one seated upon the throne and to the Lamb. Repeat it after me as loud as you can. To the one seated upon the throne and to the Lamb. Louder. To the one seated upon the throne and to the Lamb. Be honor and blessing.
Be honor and blessing.
And glory.
And glory.
So the music is silent. The whole state at Ephesus is shaking. And the Lamb takes the scroll and will open the seven seals. And above the choir, you'll see the seven openings with the seven sealed visions and painting. I want you to be the Greek choir and give a loud clap with your hands as we open each seal to get in the mood. Let's hear it. We'll never open any seal. Good, okay? When I announce the seals, you clap. And the Lamb, the music has just died down. 4 living creatures said, Amen. And the Lamb went forward and took the scroll. And the first living creature opened the first seal. We have a white horse of conquering coming down in window 1, representing warfare, and it's carrying a bow and arrow. And the second living creature went forward and opened the second seal. There's a red horse of warfare, and the rider carries the sword. The white horse of conqueror, followed by war. In all my sevens, I love a 4-2-1 pattern. 4 things together, 2 things, and then 1 thing. That's brilliant, I think. And the red horse of war, taking peace from the earth as a weapon. Third living creature went forward and opened the third seal. And the black horse of famine, the rider carrying the scales, weighing up the food. It's so scary. The fourth living creature went and opened the fourth seal. Pale green horse of death. Not pale. Remember, it's chloros, right in the Greek, C-H-L-O-R-O-S. And you've never seen any pale grass. It's pale green. The same word is used for grass. And I mentioned it's pale green, the horse of death, followed by Hades, the realm of death. Throughout history, there'll be conquering, warfare, famine, and death. Conquering, warfare, famine, and death. As even Jesus said, war and rumors of war. Then the Lamb went forward and opened the fifth seal. Here's my theme from the Jewish temple in Act 2, the altar, a sacrifice 14 feet tall. But in the heavenly Jerusalem, the martyrs who have died for Christ are underneath the altar saying, How long, O God, before you bring and avenge our blood upon these Romans who have taken our lives? They're given white robes and told to rest for a while until their number is complete. Then the Lamb went forward and opened the fifth seal. And in this seal, sixth seal rather, we see the picture of world destruction. The sky rolls up as a scroll. The sun and the moon, it's red as blood, the sun black as sackcloth and hair. And it's a preview of what is to come. It doesn't take place actually here. A preview of the end of the age. In symbolical language of Amos and other prophets, the whole world is going to be shaken when God does judge the world. And the Romans needed to hear that. Following the sixth seal, I put in an interlude. I love little interludes between the sixth and seventh. Then the seventh always introduces you to the next act. That's brilliant, isn't it? How many think that's brilliant? So there's an interlude that's very important, all of chapter 7, where 4 angels are told to hold back God's winds of destruction until all the true believers are sealed. 144,000, 12 times 12, all true believers, using the theme of the 12 tribes of Israel. Following the sealing of the saints, because the next act is going to bring the judgment, much as the Israelites were sealed on their doorposts with the blood of the Lamb and the angel of death passed over, the true believers are sealed from the judgment of God. Then the Lamb went forward and opened the seventh seal. The seventh introduces us to the next act, the act of the 7 trumpets. In the background, you see the altar of incense burning, and the angels bring out incense containers filled with the prayers of God's people and pour them out on the face of the earth. Fill the incense container with hot coals, and there's an earthquake in Act 2. Beautiful message of hope for believers. No scare. First of all, that God is in control of the world history. In the midst of conquering warfare, famine, and death, believers will have to die. But He has all true believers in His hands. God one day is going to judge the wicked Romans and the world. And the prayers of God's people are heard daily as they're brought in these ancient incense containers. A beautiful message of hope for believers. At the end of Act 2, 4:1 through 8:4, we have God in control, and we want to go back and look at the whole act on the stage of Ephesus so you can see how beautiful it is in the 7 windows of the stage building. And you will see how beautiful it will be in Ephesus if you're in the 24,000-seat arena. And suddenly the lights come on, and we will see the whole act in the 7 windows. White horse, red horse, black horse, pilgrim horse, martyrs under the altar, picture world destruction, 7 angels, choir of 24,000 down here, not 24,000, choir of 24 singing the beautiful 5 hymns of the act. So you're using your ears and you hear the music, you see the vision, you smell the incense, and you get so excited you start jumping up and down with the beauty of this book. All 7 acts are like that. I'm so disgusted that my book has been lost in the modern church. Southern Baptists won't even study it in January Bible study. It never has been the book and never will. And some people won't even study it in Sunday school. It's been abused. It's become the Gene Dixon book of the modern world, prophesying the future in some detail. Rather surprised myself when I read some of those books. And I'd like to say to you, we've taken the pledge as a book of beauty and joy and hope. I hope I made my case this evening that my book should be put back into the Bible. And you can't really finish the canon unless you read Revelation and rejoice and bow down and worship and sing. So go back wherever you're going this evening and read some of it aloud. And if you have a record, put that on. Worthy is the Lamb, and you'll be transformed. Now, before I leave, I will give you some chance to ask me a few questions. I'm an old man. I used to sing up so late. But if anyone have a question you'd like to ask tonight, I'm 13 minutes left. Don't be overwhelmed by my old age. How many would like to go to Ephesus tonight and start filming? Anyone have a question you'd like to ask an old man? Oh, you'll have an opportunity to ask Dr. Blevins in the morning. Yes, sir.
Yeah, how well has your interpretation gone over with your contemporaries in America?
It was my first trip over to America. I'm very happy that Dr. Blevins is using that as an interpretation. And almost everybody who's written a commentary on my book has called it a drama. Herschel Hobbs called it the great cosmic drama. All the commentaries mention drama and then drop it like a hot potato. It is a dramatic work, and it brings it alive for people in your churches to know that they don't have to be afraid of it, but they can sing with the elders, and they can see the vision, and hear the beautiful music and praise the name of God who will rule throughout history, and He will reign forever and ever. Let people rejoice in my book, and I'll be happy. Others, yes?
Then just posed a question. We wondered if you've ever been invited to Dallas with us.
I haven't quite made it to Texas yet. It's a little hot down there. 4 ways in 1. Other question you'd like to ask, an old man? How many have been impressed by my visit?